Welcome to Empirical Pea Pod. Thank you so much for being here. I appreciate it. If you could, please subscribe, follow, share, like, comment, whatever the hell happens when we do these things. I'm your host, Tim Day. Let's get to the show.
To stretch my arms a little.
Yeah, well, it's just audio, so moving around isn't going to matter. My favorite part is... yeah, don't do that to the mic. And you're going to... Like, I move my hands and arms to talk.
Yeah.
And I make a lot of faces, and I'm like, man, the show's missing so much dynamics.
Character.
Yeah, but...
I'm glad I didn't have to put any makeup on for this, though.
Well, you did just let the cat out of the bag because we're already recording, and now everybody's like, oh,
shit,
gross, she looks ugly.
They can see that all over my Instagram if they want to, you know?
Oh, perfect. Yeah, then they'll be like, oh, that's exactly what I thought she looked like.
Why doesn't she have Botox yet? Get your shit together, Amy.
Yeah, I mean, you are 40 now.
Fuck you, I'm not yet.
December.
December 5th.
Yeah.
It hurts a little,
It
like,
takes the
on
wind
the
out.
inside.
It's not as bad as it sounds.
Okay.
I actually, honestly, I think if I had to... I thought I would be way worse off and terrified. Like, don't get me wrong, my body is.
Yeah.
But, I think if somebody was like, what age do you want to be? I'd be like, 40 feels kind of fine, to be honest.
Yeah.
I don't want to be 41, though.
Yeah.
It's all downhill.
I mean, I think it just kind of sucks for me because I feel like I wasted my 20s being a piece of shit.
Yeah, but I think
you know?
not to... I feel like you're kind of supposed to. Well, here's the thing. First off, we're here with Amie Langus in this... I hesitate to call it a B&B.
Flophouse. She's doing great, guys. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Listen, I got bamboozled. This is not, and this is why people hate Airbnb now.
Sure.
Because you look at the pictures and you're like, oh my God, look at this little cute little neon sign and the little lanterns. And then you get here and it's basically like a overrated college dorm room. Like it's
yeah, it's like a college dorm room if your parents hated you. Yeah, perfect. And all the outlets,
but also had money a little bit.
Enough money to be like, we want you to see how much we can't stand you and don't want you to come home. All the outlets have at least 6 things in them, but I don't see what they're connected to.
No,
they're just things they're plugged in. My favorite is that the neon sign you just talked about says "Good Vibes Only."
Not in here. Jeez. Not today.
I mean, they're trying.
Not when we get together.
This is just uncomfortable.
Oh, God.
But I do think, going back to what you were just talking about, which I forget now because this place sucks your brain. What the hell were we just talking about?
20s. The 20s,
yeah. I think you're supposed to kind of... It's all perspective, right? Like, do you really feel like they're wasted? Or is that secretly where a lot of your growth happened? Because I feel like you and I have gone on a similar journey, and I feel like we've been mindful at this point now for the last 10, maybe even 15 years. 10 at least.
About 10. Because 2013, maybe 2010, I think, was when
As we were approaching our late 20s to 30s, really where it hit to, where it was like, okay. Yeah. But I feel like we were always those people. We were just trying to get there.
Yeah, I think I was very lost.
Sure, but you have to be lost to be found, right? To be
found, yeah.
As dumb as that sounds.
I suppose you do. I mean, yeah, I think I was getting to a breaking point with stress with work, and I knew that I had an issue because I was an angry person. I mean, low-key, I kind of still am an angry person. I don't want to act like I'm healed now, but
right.
I was so stressed out working my job at the restaurant. We'll just say, we won't even say where it was. Yeah. You guys know. And then I was in that relationship with that one person that was super toxic and really just...
I feel like that's going to be a theme.
Yeah.
Did you start in Oswego? Have you always been here?
I've always been here, yeah.
I know your mom was downtown.
Yeah.
Is that literally where you started?
I grew up on a house on Route 34 out by like, where the hair school is.
Yeah.
I like grew up basically.
Over by the valley.
By the valley, yes. I was, yep. Mm-hmm. So our house backed up to the valley. So if you went out our backyard, there was like a cul-de-sac right there. And that's where we would take our bikes and like ride around. So yeah, I kind of basically grew up in the valley. We lived with my grandma for like the first roughly 7 to 8 years of my life. Yeah. And then my mom was like, get me out of here. I'm trying to raise my daughter in like a healthy way, and you guys are not the vibe right now. Right. I mean, they were great, but sure. So she got me out and took me to St. Charles for a little bit, and I entered the school system there, and she was like, absolutely not. The school system is atrocious. Like, we got to get back to Oswego as soon as possible. So
at that time, Oswego was one of the best districts.
Oh, yeah. They were, in St. Charles, they were talking about, like, bumping me up an entire grade. And she was like, no, we're not doing this. Like, we're going back to Oswego. And so I started second grade back in Oswego, but I started a couple months late. So I was basically a pariah, and nobody wanted to talk to me. So that was, if you were in Mrs. White's class in second grade, fuck you,
Just in case you were wondering.
Because I was that awkward kid, because my mom was like, let's let her dress herself.
Yeah.
I mean, she's like wanted me to become an individual. Great job.
Sure.
But I was weird,
Well, I mean, you just kind of let the cat out of the bag that you were a sack of shit through your 20s and trying to find yourself.
Yes.
That's just going to 100% tie back to that.
Yeah.
Mostly because of the rejection, probably.
Dude, it sucked. Like, I felt it pretty hard. And I was an only child, and I was very independent, and like...
Your mom has always been a single mother too, right?
Yeah. Yeah, she didn't marry my stepdad till I was like 10 or 11, I think.
Yeah, but your dad was never in the picture in the first place, right?
Thankfully.
Did you ever meet him?
No, not a single time.
Did he leave when your mom was pregnant?
Oh, my mom left him after I was born because he was a shit show.
Yeah.
I don't want to disparage the family or anything, but like it was not a good situation, and my mom got out of it, and I think he came around for visitation like a couple of times when I was really little. And then, I mean, he was an alcoholic, and that's how he died. He died of cirrhosis of the liver, unfortunately.
How long has he been dead? Been a long
Honestly, I think it was like, right before that turning point in my life, early 2010s, like maybe like 08 or 09, because I think I was on my own in my condo, and I think he passed away really close to my birthday.
Did he ever reach out to you at all?
No.
Not even once?
Not a single time.
Probably for the best, for sure.
Well, and that's the thing, is like, everyone's like, oh, it's so sad that you didn't have your dad in your life. I'm like, no. Yeah. No, that's not how I look at it. I look at it as a blessing, because could you imagine as a little girl, your dad coming in and out of your life and being totally unpredictable and being drunk all the time, and like, your mom being stressed out and sad because she can't trust him, when you're there for visits. Like, no. Like, my family was dysfunctional as hell, but I had 2 uncles that loved the shit out of me.
Yeah.
I had a mom that loved the shit out of me, and I had a grandma that loved the shit out of me and was totally always there for both of us and was like the rock of our family. So like, I was not missing out at all.
Yeah, I'm 100% of the mind. Why would you invite toxicity into your life? Like,
I
understand, like, if you need that and you want to pursue that, that's great. Go for it. But you have to be prepared for not getting it. And it can be challenging, but you don't need the other half of the equation to heal yourself. You don't need them to get your closure.
Totally.
You can 100% do that just from your own perspective and understand that they're not going to ever meet you where you need to be.
Yeah.
And just kind of close that door, and you'll be much better off for it.
I mean, I'm sad, but I'm not sad because I missed out. I'm sad for him.
Yeah, for sure.
Because
he never got to know you, and you're awesome.
He never got to know me, and I know that he, his situation was born out of the immense trauma that he had when he was a kid.
Yeah.
I mean, he was the son of immigrants.
Right.
Who had seen war. Like, there's a story, and I don't know if this is true or not, but there's a story that my paternal grandmother's father and brother were just like pulled out of their house in the middle of the night by like Stalin's regime and like never seen
where
her.
did they come from?
They came from Russia. Yeah, and my grandfather's family is from Lithuania. So.
Is Langus?
Langus is Lithuanian.
I say, is that your dad's name?
Yeah. Why my mom? I don't know.
I think at that time it was just like, this is just what you do.
Yeah.
And by then it was like that was your identity.
I know.
By the time it came up to even be a thing.
But what's cool is like nobody has my last name.
That's true.
So there's like no confusing, you know.
I think in my phone it's still Amie Langus. But...
Yep, there you go. You can thank I can't say his name. Damn.
You can, but I'd rather you do. They knew who they are.
We know. That's all that matters.
Okay, so you came to Oswego in second grade, proper.
Yeah.
So you went to...
I went to Eastview Elementary.
Did you go to Thompson?
No, I went to Traber.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah,
Actually, I knew that because I went to Traber. I think you're only a year behind me.
Oh, shit, yeah. I don't think I knew you in junior high, though.
No, but, like, I knew you existed. Bruh, can you hear?
Honestly, dude, what are you guys doing?
So
wrestling?
in this B&B, it definitely, I don't know if you can hear it, but it definitely sounds like they're moving bodies right outside the door.
Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised.
Me neither, but what did you say when we walked in? This is where the poors live.
Damn it, Tim.
Well, you've been gone for a long time and you're very bougie and elitist now.
I am not bougie. You should see our condo, dude. We live in like one of the crustiest neighborhoods in Denver. And I'm going to say crusty, but I love our neighborhood.
Well, there's a difference between like Chicago crust and Denver crust, right?
That's true. That is very true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then you went to high school. High school is where we actually met.
Yeah.
Because
in
we
gym
had a little
class,
in
you
gym.
said?
Yeah.
So I don't remember that shit.
No. Well, you're in a lot of chemicals.
Some truth. We're just gonna putting it all out there, huh?
You just glazed right over that. Most
cool.
Most people didn't even catch it. But because there was a nice group of us, like me, you, Cassie, Josh was there, who was on the show and doesn't follow rules. And, at that time, Sean, Roxy now was with us too.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Yeah, it was a fun time when we didn't do anything. We just walk around.
Oh yeah, I didn't run. Are you kidding me?
No.
I don't run unless I still don't run.
Yeah, I'm not really built for speed.
No.
I'm built for power.
Same, dude. I can move some weight, but I'm not getting anywhere quick. I'll tell you that one.
Yeah. Did you go to college?
I did. Yeah, I went to an obnoxious amount of college, unfortunately.
Really?
I did, yes. Yes, I really liked school. After high school, I should preface.
Well, once it's kind of more on your own terms, right?
Exactly.
It's a little different thing.
Yeah.
What'd you go to school for?
Journalism.
Ooh, nice. That helps climb mountains, I've heard.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, and start businesses and stuff.
Did you get a degree in journalism?
I did, yeah. I got a BA in journalism in 2007. Right when like the economic world was about to just absolutely shit the bed. My timing was impeccable and my choice of major was even better because all of the newspapers started going bankrupt and so that was a rough time in my life too.
Was there something that drew you to like, do you like journalism?
I used to.
Do you think you would legitimately want a career in that though?
That's a great question. Because looking back, I mean, I was really immersed in, like, I was on the school magazine, and I really liked that a lot. Like, like writing articles.
Like, in college?
Yeah. That was super fun for me. I really enjoyed it. I really liked, I think I more so liked the, like, investigating, like asking the questions and, like, finding out new things and just like continually learning, and I unsuccessfully attempted for over a year to find a job after school, and it just like never in journalism, it just never panned out. But that's a good question. If I think I would have liked it, I knowing myself now, I am incapable of sitting at a desk
Right.
Or doing anything that's like super mundane and boring for any length of time. So like cumulatively in my entire life, I think I've only sat at a desk at a job for like, I want to say less than a year. I can't do it. I will fall asleep.
Yeah.
I will not do my job. I will get sick mysteriously, you know, like.
Yeah.
So honestly, if I had to do a bunch of like corporate BS, which I think magazines and newspapers to some extent are, I don't think I would have liked it. And I think I would have ended up kind of veering off anyway.
I think it's kind of a different thing now because you can take that, you can turn that into a podcast now.
Yeah.
Where it's like you can do your own thing, investigate what you want, and then talk about it how you want, which is kind of cool.
Everyone's like, well, why didn't you just freelance? And they say it like, oh, like it's fucking easy to just like create a freelance writing career out of nothing when you have like hardly any like writing samples.
It's like when you talk to a comedian and they're like, why don't you just get a sitcom?
Yeah, like.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, like it's easy or something. No, so after college, I came back to Oswego and
Where did you go to college?
Columbia College.
In Chicago?
Yeah.
You know who was on? Thanks to you.
I know.
Miss Katie Kirby.
She's the reason that I went, dude. Because she was like, school is so awesome. And I was like, oh, I like love hearing about your life. And you're in the big city. Because we were being little baby country mice back then.
True. Yeah.
And I like definitely wanted to be in the city and like meet a bunch of cool kids and just be a cool kid, you know. And then I was like, ugh, this is terrible.
It's not for everybody.
It was not for me. That's for sure.
She seemed to have a good time though, and she's. I know you don't listen to the show, so. I listened to the first two. That's cool, but
whatever, dude.
Either way, she's amazing to talk to, and I would highly recommend listening to her episode.
She's cool,
and just talk to her in general. She's awesome.
Yeah, we like texted back and forth a little bit. She just bought a house. I'm super proud of her. That's awesome.
That's a summer house,
bruh. I mean, you buy a house in California? Are you kidding me? Holy shit! Like that's
in Northern California, right?
I'm gonna be like, hey, so you got like a spare bedroom?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm like, how can I get to California?
Yeah, we could walk if you wanted.
I mean, that's true. It'd take a while, but like...
We would make it there by the time we're like 45.
I would look very different if I walked all the way across the country. Probably what I need.
Just starts with one step, you know?
That's true. A journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step.
There was a guy that tried to do that, and he got bit by a rattlesnake or something. I'm like, what a way to go down.
Yeah, that sounds terrible.
Mike Snow, am I making that up? Did Mike Snow do that?
It sounds probably true. I'm not going to look it up. I could care less if it's true.
Don't fact check this.
Yeah. The views expressed on this show are those of Amie Langus.
It's weird when you say my name like that. I think I'm going to change it. Should I change it?
I think you're going to have no choice.
I don't have a choice?
Yeah. Of course you have a choice. But,
yeah.
I mean... There's a thing happening tomorrow that's going to probably interfere with what your name's going to be.
Well, I mean, you have to change it legally.
You don't have to. My sister kept her name. I don't think she changed hers for like 2 years.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of wrestling with that still because it's like I'm almost 40 years old. I've had the same last name my whole life. Like, why would I change it now? Like, nobody's going to know who the hell I am.
You think so?
I think he wants me to change it, though.
Well, I think that a lot of people are caught up on that, where it's like it's not official if you don't, and I would love to change my name.
Yeah.
Like if I could find a nice girl and be like, that's a way better name.
I'll take your
Tim Day is the dumbest fucking name.
No way. Your name's cute.
Well, it fits my cute little frame.
Yeah. It's short and simple.
Right, like me.
Jesus.
I get a lot of feedback. It's like, you berate yourself too much.
You do. You should stop with that.
It's not funny. You're the only one laughing.
Words become real and things and stuff. Yeah.
All right. Well, maybe next season, because eventually I'm going to have Jason Carey on. There's no way that him and I are going to get through an episode without hurting each other.
Creating some real emotional scars, you know?
Yeah, but we'll giggle about it at least and pretend we're okay.
Oh God, my face already hurts.
So after college, you said you came back to Oswego.
Yeah.
And then what? No journalism. Is this when we started the job?
The job, yeah, the serving job that I would live at for like the next 4 years.
You served that for a few different places, though, right?
Oh, quite a few. That was my jam. I loved like going to get a job. Well, this before college, I loved going to get a serving job and like working there for 2 weeks and being like, this fucking sucks. And then I would just like literally get a new one the same day. It was amazing.
Yeah. But I feel like is that just serving or bartending at that point?
At that point, early on in my life, it was just serving. I didn't bartend till like later.
Yeah, because I feel like you for sure, if you have experience, you can just bounce like that. And within 2 weeks, you're gonna know, am I gonna make money or not?
Well, some restaurants are like vastly different where like their policies and procedures just suck ass or like...
And some they are worse, like, because you're already making dog shit pay hourly because it's of a weird system.
Exactly.
And then some places would be like, oh, also your tips aren't your tips. Surprise. Yeah. And you're like, what?
Or they're like, oh, you're going to tip out, 40% every night. And you're like, whoa, dude. So yeah, I had a couple of different serving jobs right after college. Then I started the one in downtown Oswego that I was at for 4 years. Believe it or not, the one that I got right out of college, I was able to make enough money. It still blows my mind to this day. I didn't know shit about money back then, by the way. Yeah. I made enough money to buy my condo.
Really?
At that job, yeah.
Wow.
My parents helped me. I think they gave me a little bit for a down payment or something, but like, I paid the mortgage. It was all me. Yeah. It was a very small mortgage.
Yeah.
It was the smallest amount of money I've ever paid to live in a place ever in my entire life.
Which is insane. You still own that place, right?
I just sold it.
Literally, eh?
I just sold it.
You had it for a long time.
I had it since 2008, so yeah. Yeah. So, and I sold it to a friend.
Nice.
Yeah. I didn't, I kind of put it on the market, and I was like, oh, let's see what happens. And then she was kind of, like, trying to buy a place at the same time, and I was like, listen, I'll tell you what, let's make this easy. If you give me my asking price, I'll sell it to you, and I won't make you go through all this nonsense that other people are going through. And it was great.
Yeah, it's a nice place, actually, too. And you had done a couple of little remodeling things, too, that really spiced it up nice.
It did spice it up.
Well, cause I've seen it at its worst, and I've seen it at its best.
Yeah.
There was a time when there was like 6 cats there and 2 rabbits, and like it was disgusting.
Yeah.
You're not known for cleaning.
Thank you. I'm not.
And it smelled
I'm too
disgusting.
Busy. I'm too busy.
I remember you'd go away. I would watch the place sometimes.
Yep.
And I'd be like, ugh.
Thanks for sharing that with
I didn't want everybody to know that you're gross.
Maybe you could just edit that part
You didn't
out.
put any makeup on, and your house stunk once.
No, there were... Dude, we had 4 cats at one... No, was it 4 cats? Oh, my God. Yes, it was 4 cats at one point.
2 rabbits also.
That was one rabbit.
Oh, it was 1 at that time, sure.
1 at that time.
Still 5 animals.
So 4 cats and a rabbit in like 700 square feet.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
Right.
That is a lot.
Yeah, and it's not even that you're not a clean person by any means, but you're always busy.
No, you're backtracking. Okay.
I am.
Okay.
I'm trying to help.
I'm not the kind of person that believes like cleanliness is godliness type shit. I think my thing is I just have way more important things to do all of the time. And low key, I really just want to get to a point in my life where I can hire someone to clean my house because I'm not good at it either.
I feel the same exact way. I don't we all have to decide what our time is worth and what we're willing to do. And some people find it therapeutic, and I'm with you. Great, awesome.
Yeah.
I don't
either.
want anything to do with it whatsoever.
It pisses me off.
I would rather pay somebody to do that.
Yeah.
And then I don't even want to hear about it.
Yeah. Thankfully, Anthony and I, we both were kind of at the same, cleanliness level to where, his thing is the kitchen and my thing is the bathroom. To me, if the bathroom's dirty, that's just, that's gross because that's germs.
Plus,
and,
mold grows really fast.
Mold and germs and, all the other stuff. And his spot is the kitchen because he spends so much damn time in the kitchen. So it's kind of like a perfect, it's a perfect marriage. That's funny. Oh my God.
Gross.
I know. I love it. But no, so he keeps the kitchen clean and I keep the bathroom clean But then, like, it's funny because, like, neither one of us really, like, I think it's more of a system issue where we just, like, have piles of stuff.
Yeah.
You know, like, oh, like, all my sunglasses and keys are, like, piled up underneath the TV. And it's, like, it's kind of, like...
But, like, that's where they go.
That's where they go. Well, it's kind of a result of, like, we live in a 2-bedroom condo, you know? Like... Yeah. So, but no, we like hosting, and so we try to keep the house cleaner than I think both of us would if we didn't know that people were coming over, you know?
Which I think is fair.
It's like when people come over, I'm like, oh shit, we gotta clean all the baseboards. Yeah. Like, we gotta, like...
We cannot be these people.
Like, we need a toothbrush. I'm gonna get down on my hands and knees, scrub the grout in the bathroom. Like, I get insane.
Yeah.
It's kind of a weird thing, actually, that I have, because I have this, like, weird insecure, like, I don't want people to think that my house is dirty.
Yeah, well, I think you care what people think about you, right?
I do.
Well,
and that's so weird to me.
I don't think it's that, I mean, I don't think it's unhealthy, because think about, as a server, what's your whole money based on? Likability.
Yeah.
Oh, same as a bartender.
No.
And realistically, that's, which is just sales, and that's your whole life.
That is my whole life,
unfortunately.
So, like... It's like the high school girl who like tried to outcast herself becomes like the girl who now is like striving so hard for popularity. It's kind of gross. I hate it.
Yeah, well, I think that's an oversimplification.
Is it?
100%, because you're not striving for popularity.
Yeah.
You're in your business, and as a server and as a bartender, you're selling yourself.
Yes.
You're still the weird, so artistic it hurts outcast. You just have to relate to normal people.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and it's funny too, because like as a real estate agent, so many of them are like these like fake, like smarmy, gross, like you couldn't connect with them if you tried type of people. And I'm like, how the fuck are they so successful in their career?
Because they keep it surface. You can't keep it surface.
I can't. Like it's like impossible for me to do that.
But most people that are in your field would be chameleons. And
I can do that a little.
Yeah, but I feel like it's not your element. You can only be you.
Well, and like that's part of the reason why I've decided like I'm not going to do the whole polished professional pantsuit thing, like because when I feel uncomfortable, because I will feel uncomfortable, and when I feel uncomfortable, it's very hard for me to like connect with people or be expressive or even like want to stay in the room, right? Like I have social anxiety, and I think that a lot of people don't realize that about me, that like
because you're incredibly outgoing,
which is so weird,
because those two things aren't mutually exclusive.
You're right. You're right. They're not. Yeah, but it's kind of weird, right? Because people want to peg you as like one thing or the other. And I mean, I'm like, most of the time I would rather stay home. You know, I'm the one that's always like, oh, we could just stay home. And Anthony's like, dude, we have to go hang out with our friends. And I'm like, I don't like this have to. Yeah. I don't like, don't tell me what to do.
I feel like even back in the day, like when you were going out, and like even at any point of like during any partying phases, you took recharge time.
Yeah.
Like very similar to like Katie Leeser, what she would go through when she would go out, and then like, all right, I have to refill now. I'm 100% closed off for the next couple of days.
Basically, yeah.
Yeah, because it's draining.
It's draining. Well, and I mean the alcohol really helps that, because it's a lot less draining to socialize when you have alcohol running through your veins. I mean, and the whole social anxiety piece pretty much goes away after you have your first drink, and so it's easy.
Did you kind of always like start drinking like? Because I know there are different periods, right? Like sometimes you drink a little more, sometimes you drink a little less. Did it hit harder when you were a bartender?
Oh, definitely.
Like just because you're kind of part of that scene.
Yes.
Usually, I know just from hanging out at the bar in our at Howie's back in the day, like we would help close down, and then we would go to another bar. Exactly.
Yeah, dude. I can say her name because she's no longer with us. Oh, dude, Heather. I miss her so much. Heather worked in the industry too, right? And so she would like come out to, whatever bar I was at, and she would like, pregame basically like while I was closing up, and then she'd be like, all right, let's go to Chicago.
We should always say Heather's name because she was amazing.
She was fucking awesome. She was the first girl that was like, you can wear your Chucks to the club. Yeah. Like, what are they going to do? They're not going to let us in. She's like, they're going to let me in. Yeah. Because she like worked at this awesome place and like knew all these people, like all these like door people in the city. It was, she was so cool. She didn't give a fuck, and that's what I loved about her. Yeah,
a bunch of during like there's 2 times it keeps happening. Usually during St. Patrick's Day and like during Halloween. I have a bunch of Facebook memories pop up from her, and it's the I love it and hate it. Yeah, because it's absolutely heart wrenching, but at the same time, like I like to remember things.
Yeah, actually, I almost lost my job on Halloween because of her one time.
Really?
Because we went to the city, and we were like, she was kind of a little bit of a badge bunny. She liked the coppers, you know, and
she was a cop.
She was a cop. Yeah, she did become a cop. Yeah. And we like met up with these like cop dudes and stayed out all night, like watched the sunrise kind of thing. And I was supposed to work that morning. I did not.
Yeah, I'd rather have the memories.
Yipes.
Yeah.
She was not a great influence, but she's a great person.
Yeah, amazing person. I actually remember the day we lost her. I called you. Because I was at work. I was running my own store at the time, and I was like, oh, it like just hits you in the chest. I hate it.
I think I actually, as soon as you said that you called me, I was like, I think I remember being in my condo and you telling me, dude.
Yeah, way to derail the whole conversation.
Sorry, my bad. All right. I'm kind of all over the place right now.
Well, it's tough because at this point we've lost a lot of people, and they all hurt a lot. Like, and sometimes, like, because you forget. Sometimes that's what sucks is you forget. Like, oh, it's been so long, and then like you're like, oh, well, this one was just from this year, and like, oh, it's just too much.
It's kind of crazy. Like I often wonder like if other like friend groups or like communities have like lost this many people. It seems like a lot.
I don't know if it speaks to the size of the group.
Yeah.
Or if it's just that we're just bad at being alive.
Dude, what the fuck?
I can't be this serious this long.
Okay. All right, let's switch gears. And cut.
Yeah. All right, scene. All right, let's go.
Let's start over.
Yeah, so eventually after serving for a while, I hate
that word. I don't like it.
Yeah, even in the middle of it, I'm like, bleh.
Ugh, I can't believe I said that.
After serving for a while and then switching to bartending, first off, it's got to be way more money.
Yes. So that job that I was at for 4 years, I started bartending there initially. Like they trained me, but I was a bartender and a manager at the same time. So you get like, it was kind of cool because it was insane. Yeah. Don't get me wrong, it was insane. But but you got a salary, which was like it was pretty meager salary. Sure. But then you also got tips on top of that. Yeah. So like I was pretty comfortable. And I got to travel and stuff. But ultimately that job.
Really?
Yeah.
Why did you get to travel?
No, I mean like not for the job, just like I had money to travel for the first time. Right. Yeah. Well, and I was,
I was like, how does a bartender travel the world?
And I did not travel the world. I mean, like drove to Florida, like travel with air quotes.
You're right. Yeah.
Well, and I had, I was dating someone at the time, and he was like, we should go to Florida and we should go to New Orleans. And I was like,
that one's a good idea. The other one's never a good idea.
New Orleans was awesome.
Yeah.
It was awesome.
I've always wanted to go there. My dream is to like take a sleeper train there.
Oh,
I would love to travel the country by sleeper train. This is just something I think would be fun.
Yeah, we'll put a pin in that one for a minute.
You're too bougie. It's not for you. I said my dream. I'm not taking notes right now.
Fine.
I appreciate you, but I'm not really taking notes.
You're not a big road trip guy, though, are you?
I love road trips.
You do?
Actually, yeah.
I did not know that about you.
Because I barely do them, but
yeah.
I like driving out to Colorado when I went and stayed with Jay and Emily was awesome.
Until you get to Nebraska. And then you're like, oh, God.
Well, I was stranded in Nebraska for a week.
Oh, my God. I forgot about
Yeah, we're all trying to forget about that. But like they're the nicest people. I just can't stand how slow things run outside. Like Chicago's the big place, and we're close enough here where like there's a sense of urgency that is not anywhere else.
I can totally fucking relate to that story because I would travel down to like the South a lot for like highlining and stuff, and every time that I would try to get a coffee in Tennessee, it would be like a fucking 20-minute ordeal, and my head was about to explode, and I'm like, and I realized it's because it's like pretty fast paced out here.
It is. Like
it really is.
It's this leftover from the big city. I presume it's the same in New York and the hour surrounding that.
Yeah.
I presume LA is the same way.
It's like, let's go.
Maybe not LA because that's probably a little more like, I feel like the people there like to smell their own farts a little more.
Exactly.
Where it's a little I'm important.
LA is like not even on this planet. It can't really be. Thing. Yeah.
Which I kind of appreciate. I don't have much interest in going there though.
I surprisingly really liked it. I didn't think I was going to like it at all. And I really, really enjoyed my time there. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. It was a shocker.
Yeah, that's interesting.
West Hollywood, but it's weird. So it's like, you know.
Have you been to Oregon?
I have, yeah.
I'd be curious to. I feel like that's a place that I would enjoy.
Yeah.
I have a friend that lives there now and hates it. She's been there for a couple of years now, and she just does. She's like, this place is terrible.
Well, I can't really tell you much about the people because I don't feel like I spent enough time there. I didn't really get to know anybody.
That's what the issue is, that as she's gotten to know the vibes. Like, some people, that's the right kind of vibe, but she's like, I was surprised she went in the first place. I'm like, I don't know how those vibes appeal to you in the first place.
Yeah. I think what appeals to me about Oregon is just the nature and the landscape, and like we drove down the like Oregon coast into like Northern California, so incredible. Like I would do that again and again and again, just like watching kind of like the landscape change and the ocean and the mountains and the rock form, like the trees.
Yeah.
I'm nerding out hard on nature right now.
I mean, I feel like that's true. That's another reason why I think it'd be fun to travel by train.
Yeah, because you can see more stuff.
Right, you can like and it's not as fast paced or stressful as like trying to drive with a destination in mind.
That's true. Driving can be a lot after a while.
Yeah, like it'd be cool if you're going with somebody. It's cool. Like Kate Bamrick, it takes a lot of road trips.
Yeah,
I'd love to just partner with her and just be a passenger as she travels the country.
As she drives the whole time.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I don't mind driving. Like me, Jason, and Johnny Furry one weekend, we went out to Massachusetts.
Massachusetts.
Just to see Drew.
Oh, yeah, Drew.
Yeah. But it was an 18-hour drive.
That's a lot.
Yeah. And then we literally were there for like a day and a half, 2 days. And then we're like, I guess we'll drive home.
No, that's too much.
In Nebraska, too, we used to drive to Omaha. They have a beautiful zoo there. Like, you're making a weird face.
Oh, my God. Wow, a zoo.
God, you're an asshole.
Imprisoned animals. I love it.
Let me tell you, I hate zoos, actually.
I fucking hate zoos, too.
But they have a ski lift that goes over, like, 3 exhibits at the Omaha Zoo. And it's pretty cool.
Listen, I'm only chill with zoos if it's like, this lion is here because he has a boo-boo on his paw and he can't be released, you know? Like, this eagle broke his wing. And
that's the reason I hate zoos also. Is like,
I
like when people go on safaris in Africa and get murdered.
Yeah, serves you right.
Yeah, I agree. But
wow, we really segued. I mean, I don't even know where we are now.
This is free-form conversation. This is why nobody listens.
This is why my podcast isn't bringing in any revenue.
This is just for me. I like the show. I feel like I'm the only asshole who's like...
It's a circle jerk.
Basically. Yeah, just myself patting me on the back for having friends.
Oh, God. Sometimes you gotta remind yourself, you know?
Yeah, I don't... That's the way it goes.
The people still like you.
Yeah, until the episodes come out and they're like, I said stuff I wish I wouldn't have said. And I'm like, well, it's on the internet now.
You told people that my house was gross, so...
Yeah, your house was gross.
God damn it. This was a long time ago.
It was also only one time. I said it was only one time. I do not think that your house stayed like that.
I was going through a hard time.
That's also true.
No, that was very true. Yeah. There were a few rough patches there.
Yeah. When you started partying though, like in drinking, did you ever have a moment or a worry of being like you did? Or did it not even cross your mind? Like, because I feel like it's not that you think about them a lot in general, but I'd be curious if you ever like, because for me, I was always afraid. Like, I didn't drink till I was 26.
Oh, that's right. Yeah,
and I was always like, there's a lot of alcoholism in the family, in the bigger family, extended family. And I was like, I don't want to be like that.
Yeah.
It took me a long time to realize that, like, oh, I can do this and not be like that.
Yeah. I think no, I didn't really contemplate that at first. But then, because I was never someone who was like, I'm going to drink every single night.
Sure.
I was someone who, if I have a glass of wine, I'm drinking 2 bottles.
Right.
If I'm having 1 cocktail, I'm having 6.
Right.
So I could stop for days at a time, weeks at a time, months at a time.
But if you're going, it's to go hard.
Yeah.
I know that I know for 100% fact that there's at least been times when you're like, this is a problem.
100%. But I didn't realize that, like, alcoholism doesn't look the same for everyone.
Sure.
Yeah. And, like, it's because I have gone to meetings, I've gone to AA and stuff, and they talk about, like, the dry drunk and how, like, you can still be an alcoholic even though you're not drinking alcohol. You're still, like, utilizing these same terrible coping mechanisms, and maybe that's with food or relationships or sex or a combination of.
Because like when you hear that, I feel like you're turned off or defensive, and then when they start explaining, you're like, God damn.
I know.
That does make sense.
That makes a lot of sense, unfortunately. But yeah, I didn't really think about that for a long time. I think until I started to consider getting sober. And then I think to this day now, I think about like a legacy, like a family legacy, and like how I'd like to stop, the history and the legacy of alcoholism that's run through my entire family. I mean, dude, there was a time in my life where basically every single relative that was like a direct blood relative of me, I was like, every single one of them is an alcoholic.
Yeah.
Every single, and in different ways.
Sure.
We've got my father who died from cirrhosis of the liver. I mean, not a functioning alcoholic whatsoever.
Yeah.
But other various members of my family were incredibly successful people, good people, well-rounded human beings, kept their shit together, but they went hard all the time.
I think that's a dangerous kind of area that I know I fall into, and it's easy to fall into, to be like, oh, well, they still go to work and they're still functioning, so it's not a problem.
No. And, my mom has, I will give her a lot of credit for doing her damnedest to try to kind of break the toxic cycles in our family, but she can only take it so far.
Sure.
I don't know if you ever become fully healed or whatever, but she's had to overcome a lot of shit. And I think going way back to what we were talking about earlier, it's like just the fact that she was able to remove herself from that toxic situation with my father and remove me from that. She did so much for me, for my future.
Sure.
Just by doing that. And she did so much by trying to empower me and embolden me, like as a, strong, independent woman or whatever, that her family didn't do for her when she was younger, because she was very much brought up kind of in this mindset of like, oh, you get married and you have kids, like that's what you do.
Yeah.
And she never, pushed that on me. Very much the opposite. So,
I think that's what kind of opens the door to the path to self-discovery, and really like caring about your impact into the world, and being mindful of who you are as a person and what you're bringing to your surroundings, right?
Yeah.
That's really kind of what we were talking about earlier about the path we've been on for the last 10 or odd years.
Yeah.
I'll never forget Charisse that I met at the Prana Yoga Center, who I absolutely adore.
Yes,
I haven't talked to
in
so long. It's embarrassing how long I haven't talked to her. I should reach out to her. But when I started all of that years ago, she was like, you're on a journey now, and this kind of a journey heals your family. Like, you're healing 2 generations back and 3 forward.
Wow. Damn.
And I was like, that's crazy.
That's crazy.
But that's also got a lot of weight to it, because you're setting a whole new precedent and creating a whole new paradigm going forward.
Yeah.
Mine's wasted because I'm not having a family beyond me. But I've set examples for anybody within my little scope of existence.
Yeah. I mean, I could say the same for myself. I'm not interested in having kids. I mean, that's a whole different topic, but like, you know, I don't know. Even just like within my relationship with Anthony, I'm like, how the fuck am I so healthy?
Yeah.
Because this person that I was 10 years ago, I would have driven him into the ground.
Right.
Like, I would have ruined his life.
Yeah.
You know, and in the way that I like react to conflict and the way that we talk about stuff, I'm like, I don't even know how I became this It's so weird. And so,
yeah. But I think that, I apologize for coming up, but I feel like we've had and I could be misremembering and way off base, but I feel like even within that, there was a time early in your current relationship where it was like, I can feel this happening. These bad habits, but it was different because I can feel them and I don't want to go that way.
Yeah.
And then now it becomes something where you can actually talk to your partner about and be like, how can we do this together? Because I know where I'm going to go. And I genuinely don't want to for the first time in my life.
Yeah.
And I want to go in a different direction.
Well, yeah. And it's wild. Instead of just like bottling all that stuff up and, you know, letting it turn into like unhealthy behavior, I'm able to go to him and say, hey, listen, you know, I'm feeling this way about this. Or instead of like getting super pissed off that this girl was like trying to flirt with him on Instagram, I'm like, hey, who's this broad? Like, you know, but I don't say it in like this is your problem kind of a way. I say it in like this is making me uncomfortable. Yeah. What's the deal with this?
Whereas the old, like, a long time ago, like, you know, back in your 20s, you would have lashed out.
Totally.
And then
started to fight.
Look like the asshole.
Yeah, and totally started to fight.
Yeah.
Been like, you're a piece of shit.
Right.
Because this girl did something.
Right.
That you have nothing to do with.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I mean, that's growth, right? That's amazing. To be able to even look at that and identify it is huge.
Yeah. I mean, even today, like, you know, we're driving back from the city and I was like, I think I'm just feeling overstimulated. And he's like, no, that checks out. That makes sense.
That's a lot.
Like, you've been in the car driving in the city in Chicago traffic.
When did you guys get here?
We got here last night.
Yeah, so did you drive here or did you fly in and rent a car?
No, so my mom came to pick us up at the airport and then then I drove back from the airport to here.
Yeah.
And then this morning we got up again and then drove back to Chicago with them.
You guys are so stupid.
You know, and then we're living in this like slump. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, but that's a lot. That is overstimulating. That's a lot.
I was like...
And you like to be in control.
I do.
Right. Like,
I do. And I was very much like, wow, I'm just like basically an overgrown toddler sometimes. I need a passy and my blinky. I just...
Yeah.
You know, but I don't know. I probably have like undiagnosed ADHD or something, or who knows?
Probably. I mean...
There's a lot of chat about that these days.
A lot of those things, they're spectrums though, right? Like...
Yeah.
And you're somewhere on that spectrum.
I definitely have some sensory issues.
Yeah. I do also, actually. Like, I've never thought about it because back in our day it wasn't something that really came up unless it was like extreme.
Yeah.
But like, even still to this day, like sometimes I'll just be at a place and be like, I gotta leave right now.
Yep.
I have to get out of this area now. And it's nothing you're doing, but like and I'm not mad at you, and it's not like, hey, hurry up, but I have to go outside right now.
Unfortunately for me, it's often when I go to the grocery store that happens.
Really? I mean, the grocery store is a big deal.
Hate the grocery store.
There's a lot going on there.
So much.
So many decisions have to be made.
And like, you know, the grocery store that we live by now, the one that we go to most often, it's very narrow aisles. It's always packed. It's like it's a city grocery store. I
won't go to Aldi because I hate the way it's set up.
Dude.
It's so cheap, but I hate the way it's set up.
holy shit, we went to Meijer last night to get groceries. We were both just like, oh my God, you could do cartwheels in here and not hit any, like, what the hell this place is massive.
Yeah.
Massive. I was like, I feel light as a feather. And then we like go back to our grocery store in Denver and it's like, get me out of here.
Is it a local store or is it a chain?
It's a chain. Oh my God, what is it? Oh, it's King Soopers.
Yeah.
King Soopers spelled Sooprs. So stupid. Why do they spell it like that?
That is stupid.
But no, yeah, I totally have like sensory things. Like for a long time, I couldn't really like, not that I couldn't, but climbing in the gym was difficult for me because the feeling of chalk on my hands makes me want to peel my skin off. And even to this day, like even though I, on a weekly basis, like sometimes freaking 4 to 5 days a week, I'm digging my hands into chalk again and again and again and again. Like even today when we were climbing, the first thing that I do, like once I get my shoes off, is I run to the bathroom and wash my hands. Yeah. Get this shit off of my hands.
I don't like having stuff on my hands. Like, I can't even like wear lotion. I don't like the way it feels. I just don't like stuff on me.
I won't be able to sleep if my feet are too dry, and I have to put lotion.
Too dry?
Yeah, if I can feel the skin between my toes rubbing together in a dry manner, I need to put lotion on. I will wake up at 3 a.m., no shit, and I will get out of the bed, and I will go into the bathroom and get the lotion and put it on my feet.
That's hilarious.
It's weird.
That is weird.
It's fucking weird. But hey, whatever, dude. The things we discover about ourselves.
Yeah, well, they're endearing, I think.
Thankfully, Anthony thinks so, too.
Yeah, hopefully that continues.
Yeah, I'd say so. It's kind of it's getting pretty serious.
Yeah, I guess it is getting pretty serious.
Yeah.
So after you kind of left bartending, actually, earlier, too, you said that you've maybe worked at a desk for like a year total in your life.
Oh, yeah.
What did you do where you worked at a desk?
Oh, God. Okay, so the first one was I worked at a matchmaking company.
What?
Yes.
No, wait. Like
no
a dating
shit,
thing?
A dating service. Yes.
What?
Yes. I had like a drawer full of human beings files. And
I like that you just said human beings. I have a drawer of human beings.
I have a drawer of human lives. And like we had like one woman who was like kind of our boss, and she was the matchmaker person, and she would be the one who would decide on the matches. And supposedly there was like all this training behind it, but I sincerely don't think that was real. Yeah. But my job was as like, I forget what the title of the actual position was, but my job was to call these people and like, I'd be like, Tim, her name is Angela. She's, 38. She's this, she's that. She's blah, blah, blah. She likes this. Can you meet her at Traverso's in Naperville at 8 p.m. on Saturday or whatever?
When was this?
This was it after? I think it was pretty much right after college, I want to say.
So the point is the internet existed.
It did.
Why?
It did.
Would people do that?
But they wanted, I think it's because some people, it was like billed for like busy professionals. Like I'm busy. I don't have time to be scrolling apps and like meeting people who aren't going to be good matches for me. But I think it was low-key.
I guess it's also probably BS. Like since you're setting up a social situation as opposed to doom scrolling on a dating site. Yeah. That makes sense.
So I don't know how well it worked. Yeah. But I wasn't there for very long either. It was also a very long drive for me, and then
you couldn't just do that. Well, now I feel like you could do it from home.
Now you could do it from home, totally. Yeah.
It
was a different time back then, man.
True. Those were the struggles.
It was so different. Well, and that was that was right after I left that one serving job before I went to the next one. That was when I didn't realize how stupid I was about money. I didn't realize how much money I was making at this one serving job. Yeah,
it's quite different when you go to an actual paycheck. You're used to cash every day?
Yeah, I was used to cash every day. I also would underreport my tips because we all did that. We all probably still do that if you're in the restaurant industry. Yeah, and I didn't understand that, like, I was taking a gigantic pay cut to work at this place. Yeah. And I also did not know how to budget biweekly. Like, I never had to learn how to do that, and no one ever taught me how to do it. Yeah. So, yeah, I got myself into a little bit of trouble.
It's funny to think that you, at this point, owned your own place.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Had a mortgage.
But at least by, like, the outside look again, we're successful, quote unquote. And you're like, oh, wait a minute, I'm only getting paid every 2 weeks? Who's going to pay my bills?
It was bad. It was really bad. Yeah. It was not good. And so I went right back to serving after, like, working there for, I don't even know. I don't even think I made it 6 months. Maybe 3 or 4, something like that.
That makes sense. It sounds horrible anyway.
Yeah. But you asked about after I left bartending. Dude, that took a long time. It took a really long time because it's, one, I enjoyed it to a certain extent. Mm-hmm. You know, there was like good times and bad times for sure, but like, 2, like the money was just so good. Yeah. The money was so freaking good that it was hard to leave. I went back to school again in the mix there somewhere, to get a master's in elementary education.
Did you finish that?
This is a sad story.
A sad story?
Oh, just kind of like from my dreams in life. It's another sad story of like, oh, get my bachelor's in journalism, economy crumbles. Yeah. Oh, you know, going for my master's in education. So I did all the coursework for my master's in education. And I was like, yay, I'm going to be a teacher finally, because this is like actually what I've always wanted to do. Yeah. That's what I wanted to do, but I went into journalism instead. Sure. And my mom told me not to become a teacher, which, looking back, she was probably right. But yeah, I did all that coursework. I went to AU, and I was preparing everything for my final semester, which was student teaching. Yeah. And I had like met the teacher. We were going to be doing like a co-teaching model that was like kind of super new and cool, because I was going to get to be a lot more active in the classroom. And actually the girl, I forgot her name, doesn't matter anyway, but I mean, she went to high school with us, and I met her, and we were super psyched. And then AU called me like a few weeks before I was about to start, and they were like, oh, by the way, you're out of financial aid. Like, we can't give you any more financial aid. And I was like, excuse me, what?
Yeah, what's that about?
I'm sorry, what? Why are you just telling me this now, right. Number one, when I'm about to go into a full-time job of student teaching, basically, and I'm already stressed out about money because I couldn't, work at the same level that I was working before. Sure. And so I was like at a crossroads. I was like, shit, I don't know how I'm going to come up with this money. And even if I do come up with the money for the classes, how am I going to survive day to day, right? Yeah. And so that's when I got promoted at that certain job to like the bartender/manager position. And so it saved me from my financial troubles temporarily, but it was like, at the time, I think I thought that I was going to go back and finish, but I had some major realizations of like, I can't live under the bureaucracy of school boards and shit. Like me, oh, I just totally smacked the mic. I'm sorry. It happens. Like me, I don't even like getting up at a certain time and being somewhere at a certain time every day. Like, do I really think that I'm gonna be successful in this at any level? Yeah. And so
I would love to see you deal with a kid talking back also.
Oh God, I don't. So I mean, it's funny. I guess it's funny like how life forces your hand sometimes, right? Like, there's so many times in my life where I've been like, I really want to do X, Y, and Z. And then something happens and I'm like, well, I can't do that anymore. Like the door slams shut and you're kind of like, well, what the hell, man? I worked so hard for this. But then ultimately it always works out. And it usually works out for your betterment. Like,
I agree. It's all perspective also, because there's a million quotes that can point you in whatever direction you want to go. You know? When one door closes, another one opens.
Blah, 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 blah.
There's also, but the same idea is like, when one door closes, open it. That's how doors work. Like, if that's what you want, go.
Just go open that fucking door.
Right, exactly. Like, so it's whatever you want to tell yourself, there's a quote for that.
I mean, if I really wanted to, I could have saved my money and, taken a few months off or gone super part-time at the restaurant again and gone back and finished that student teaching semester. But I don't know.
I don't think you would have stayed with it anyway.
I was done. No, I had the realization and then I was done. And that's kind of where I was like, shit, what am I going to do now?
Yeah.
What am I going to do with my life? I've already done so much school.
Right.
Like, I've basically been like a professional student for the majority of my 20s.
Yeah.
And none of it has panned out for me. I'm like, should I just go be a stripper? Because, like...
Did you really think about that?
Oh, are you kidding me? Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
That's really good money.
I've almost joined the military and been a stripper, like, a bunch of times.
I like that you just keep those in your back pocket. Like, if things get too bad, I've at least got these. Not for nothing, that's a level of control that's realistic.
I did not have the balls to be a stripper.
Yeah.
I couldn't do... I mean,
probably better that you didn't have balls.
Who knows, man? You know, different strokes for different folks.
You know, that's true. Fair enough.
Don't knock it till you tried it, you know?
Also good advice.
But no, I mean, I totally would have been a stripper, dude. I love that shit. Like, seedy underground nightlife vibes. Yeah. Give it to me. But no, I could not take myself seriously. I was super uncoordinated. I hadn't done yoga yet. I didn't even know how to move my body through space without tripping or falling or knocking into something. Yeah. Like, what?
I'd say there's two issues I would see. One, your coordination is awful. Two, yes. I could never take you seriously. Like, I feel like you'd be on stage giggling.
Yes.
I'd be like, this is so stupid. And
yes. Like, oh, look at my boobies. Oh.
Yeah, and we're all like, I don't know if this is okay. I mean, I guess we just hand her money.
Is this girl all right? Did she? Yeah, I definitely couldn't do the, like, schmarmy, like, schmoozing of guys to, like, hey, baby, do you want to pay my car payment and, like, buy me an apartment?
But, like, they do.
They do, and they're so good at it. They're so good at it.
Yeah, they're so good at just handing over tons of money.
Oh, God. So I don't know. But, okay, all right, let's get back on track. So 2 degrees, basically, with, like, nothing to show for it. So I was kind of disillusioned. My mom was the one that was like, you should become a realtor.
Yeah.
Like, it's easy.
Was it that long ago?
Yeah. Like, 2013 is when I got my real estate license.
So like 30, right as we're approaching your 30s?
So basically right before then was when I had all that stress in my life and started yoga. So I'm not sure, where do you want me to start here?
Well, I know that's kind of a pivoting point.
Huge pivot point here, yeah.
Because we were on a very similar journey at that time.
We didn't know it.
We didn't. And we ended up crossing paths.
Parallel. And then,
Because we hung out a lot before that, like during the sack of shit 20s. We were both there at being absurd. And then we kind of went our separate ways for a while. We still always communicated at least some degree, but then we got really close again through yoga.
Totally. We grew back together.
Yeah.
Because of it.
And then we've stayed uncomfortably close since.
You didn't want to sit next to me on the couch. What are you talking about?
That's because we each have our own mic.
Over here.
And there's already enough bleed through with as close as that. Also, if we were both sitting on the couch, we both had to look straight ahead. And I wouldn't be able to eye contact with you. And I feel like that's awkward.
That would be awkward.
To both be staring forward, being like, oh, tell me about yourself. Yeah, I blame the room.
Yeah, that's the Airbnb. We're going to leave them a bad review.
But so you started, how did you end up, what was your first foray into yoga?
Oh, God. Okay, well, he who shall not be named was the person that I was in a relationship with.
Sure.
That was not good. I can't say it was not good overall. I guess I can't paint it with that brush because it did.
Well, good things can happen in bad situations.
Yes.
Just so we're clear.
So he actually suggested that I try yoga because of
You're very high strung.
Well, dude, I had anxiety.
Yeah.
I was like quick to anger. You know, my job was really freaking stressing me out at the time. So he's like, you should try yoga. And I was like, I guess I'll try it. And I think my first class was maybe at like the Oswego, whatchamacallit? The Oswego Land Park District.
The Park District?
Yeah.
Was Kristen doing them there yet?
I think so. I think she taught one of my very first yoga classes, if not the first yoga class I ever went to.
I went to one of those also.
Yeah.
Because Kristen's amazing.
Yeah.
I've been friends with her for a long time. Mm-hmm. She kind of kickstarted it was interesting because it was kind of like a kickstart, but then we all went on our own journey deeper into it.
Yeah, yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, she is or was, whatever. I don't know if she's teaching anymore, but she was a great instructor. And I always enjoyed her classes.
Yeah.
So that was really amazing that I got to have that experience. And then there was a little yoga studio in Yorkville called Senza Samadhi that I started going to, and that was great too. I mean, I also didn't really know much about like other styles of yoga at the time or anything, and it was mostly like power vinyasa.
Sure.
But the routine of like the same flow over and over again was what I needed to just like
I think that's
bring
like,
everything
into focus. When you get a good sun salutation too, like you can just zone everything out. You know the movements, so there's nothing to think about.
Yep.
I like a lot of the different stuff, like a Kundalini and like hot forest yoga and stuff like that is fun. But you have to be more present. You can't just kind of zone out.
Yeah. Well, and I had never done any type of meditation. I had never really done any type of like, I don't think I'd ever really done any type of like physical practice of anything before. Like I wasn't consistently working out in the gym. I had never ran. I didn't really play a whole lot of sports in high school or anything.
We were talking earlier about how we avoided gym as much as possible.
Oh God, so terrible. So yeah, it was a really great intro for me into yoga, and my partner at the time, he started to get more into it too, and then man, I like really grabbed on and ran, and I was going to like multiple classes a day at one point. Like I would go to Senza Samadhi in the morning and then like go to the Park District later in the afternoon. I was buying all the books. I was watching all the videos. I started falling in love with Keno McGregor, doing like Ashtanga yoga, which like, it's like a crazy gymnastic style.
Ashtanga is wild.
Ashtanga's
I always
wild.
wanted to get to that level.
Yeah.
But I did a 180 instead. And it completely fell off.
Perfect. I started practicing at home too, and then it became like a very social thing as well. So jumped into that whole community, and God, from there I could go in like 100 different directions of like where just starting yoga has taken me. Yeah. But after that, I ended up doing teacher trainings. I did a couple teacher trainings, worked at and taught at multiple different yoga studios around, the way. And yeah, that eventually led me to, I actually was trained in aerial yoga first.
Really?
Yes. Yeah. I got an aerial yoga teaching certificate first.
Yeah.
Then I did a 200-hour teacher training, and then I did another 200-hour teacher training, and then I learned how to teach like all the different formats of aerial yoga and aerial fitness.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I was like just looking at all my certificates the other day for some reason, and I was like, holy shit, I've actually done like a lot of education when it comes to yoga. And I was helping teach the anatomy portion of one of the teacher trainings I was involved in at one point. That was really fun. I really liked that. I nerded out on it a lot. But, I mean, ultimately, yoga really saved my life because, God, the self-awareness, it's like a blessing and a curse, right? But the self-awareness that it gave me, it changed. I don't even know how to like put this into words. It just changed everything for me. It completely changed my trajectory in life, and like how I treat myself and how I treat other people, and like what I'm willing to accept, what I'm not willing to accept. It taught me boundaries in certain ways. It strengthened me in like physically and like mentally and emotionally, because there's something about it. Like when you practice difficult styles of yoga, or you feel difficulty or dissonance within your practice, you have this like, holy shit, I did that. Mm-hmm. And holy shit, I can do this. And like, I can do other hard things. Yeah. And I think for the first time in my life, I was confronting hard things and like taking them on and being like, okay, like bring on the fucking challenge. Yeah. And that's like, I think when I like before I was pretending to be a badass as like a defense mechanism. But I think like after years and years of yoga, I like actually became a badass where I'm like, no, fuck that. I can do this. I can do this. I can do this. I can climb mountains. I can hike. I can start businesses. I can get clients. You know, I can have healthy relationships. Like I can do the hard things. So yeah.
That's the turning point too.
Ugh,
because that kind of coincides with like you were just talking about the conversation with your mother where she's like, you should become a real estate agent.
Yes. Yeah. And I mean, that was really a shot in the dark.
Yeah.
That was really like, I am in this job. I am managing and bartending at this restaurant. I do not want to do this at all anymore. Like I'm pretty much done doing this. Sadly, I kept doing some type of restaurant work for many years, I think up until like 2017 or 2018 after that. Yeah. So I took 2 weeks off of work, went and got my real estate license in 2013, and I immediately started working for this company that did foreclosures. It was not a great...
Sure.
I mean, it was a good introduction to the business.
You got to start somewhere.
You got to start somewhere, but they didn't really teach you much about how to get your own business.
And you also said you took 2 weeks off to get your license. Mm-hmm. Because what goes into getting your license?
Oh, well, at this time they did have online self-paced programs, but like I know myself and I know that like that would not have worked well for me. So I went 2 weeks full time in a classroom in person. I have to be in person to learn for the most part, unless it's a really easy class. So then I just continued serving and bartending on a part-time basis.
Slowly learning and building along the way. Mm-hmm. When did you sell your first house?
It didn't take long after I got my license, believe it or not, because the company I was working for, how it worked is they had relationships with banks and they had all the foreclosure listings. Because back in 2013, if you remember, so 2008 was the big crash. Illinois got absolutely railed in the crash for a while. Yeah. Like home values kept dipping well past 2013, whereas it's funny if you look back at the data in Denver, it was like 2008 was like a little blip, and I think they lost like 11%, and then it just was like woo, way back up, and you're like, oh, that's not what happened in Illinois at all. Yeah. We got fucked.
But it also coincides with absurdly high taxes in Illinois and the great migration of so many people leaving that there's so many like just empty places. Which is the opposite of what happens in Colorado, where everybody's going there.
Yeah, right. Well, yeah, I think a lot of people, you make a good point, a lot of people just abandoned their homes because they lost their jobs and they couldn't sustain the mortgage payment anymore. And so they just were like, peace out, bye, I'm going to go get a job somewhere else or whatever. So, yeah, it didn't take long for me to sell my first house. I hated it, though. I absolutely hated it, and I almost quit.
Really?
Because the very first house I sold... that like breaks my heart to this guy to this day. This guy just like sat his like folding chair in the middle of the driveway, like, and then like didn't want to leave, and like the sheriff was there, and because the sheriff has to like do the lockout and everything. Yeah,
that sucks.
And I was like, I'm not doing this. Yeah. Called my boss up. I was like, I don't think I can do this. I was like crying.
Well, that's not like, what you got into, like. As cliche as it is, you got in it to help people get into homes.
Exactly.
Not
exactly.
That's a sad reality that does exist.
Yep.
But I can't, in good conscience, be part of that.
Exactly. And she helped to put it into perspective for me. I mean, it didn't help, like my emotions around the situation, but she's like, listen, this guy has known for literally 3 years that this was going to happen. Yeah. He has had all the time in the world to prepare for this. And at that time, that was absolutely true. I mean, the foreclosure process doesn't happen overnight.
For sure, but you can still be empathetic. Like, especially when you've worked, there's a good chance he's already paid 20 years on that house.
Yeah.
And like at this point, and then we're just like, oh, well, tough shit. Goodbye.
Yeah, it was kind of ugly. Thankfully, most of the other homes I sold, people had already moved out. They'd abandoned them, whatever. I didn't have to kick anyone out of anything, usually. But
would that happen on your level as the realtor?
Yeah.
Like you'd have squatters?
Yeah. Oh God, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Our very first visit to the property, we would have to determine whether it was occupied or unoccupied. That was like the very first step. And if it was occupied, there was a whole, line of processes after that we would have to do. I mean, one thing that we would do is we would offer what was called cash for keys. Like if the property was occupied, we'd be like, listen, we'll give you 10 G's to move out and give us the keys. That's going to hire your truck. That's going to maybe get you your deposit on, your new place or whatever. So it wasn't like, what happened was horrible, don't get me wrong, but it wasn't like banks were out here just like kicking people out to the curb. Like people had years to figure it out. Yeah. They had cash offers on the table. There's also a mortgage modification option. There was a lot that they actually tried to do to prevent this from happening because the banks lost their asses too.
Well, yeah, that's true.
And not that I give a shit about banks losing their asses, but don't get me wrong.
But still, it's all part of the system,
and the system sucks.
But but you're talking about 15 different cogs, and when one cog breaks, the whole machine shuts down.
Yeah. So I did that for a few years. And I didn't really see a whole lot of financial benefit out of it because the hours that I was putting in and the time driving that I was putting in, because at any given time I would have between, 5 to 10 listings, which dude, if they were traditional listings, holy shit, that, you're a very successful
but those are
real estate
these
agent.
Foreclosure fees that you're getting.
Yeah.
Also, because I feel like, is it inaccurate to think that stereotypically a realtor's contract is usually 3% on the low end, or is it as low as 1.5%?
It's completely negotiable.
Okay.
So
depends on.
We as individual real estate agents kind of set our own rate.
Yeah.
But here's the deal with the foreclosures, the brokerage would charge you, your regular brokerage split. So I was brand new, so it's 50%. But the bank is also charging you a 30% referral fee. So you're getting peanuts. Wow.
So you're losing 50% and another 30 on top of that.
Yes. Wow. So I wasn't making.
Also already on basically a short sale.
Most of the homes that I sold were under $200,000. Yeah. Some of them were as low as $80,000. Excuse me.
Yeah, so even that is realistically a 2-week check.
Yeah, and you're putting in so many extra hours because you have to go visit these properties on a weekly basis to make sure that there are no squatters or raccoons or whatever.
Yeah.
I went out to this property one time that was out in the middle of freaking nowhere, and I show up and there had been a blizzard and the front door of this place is wide open and there's just no shit. There's 4 feet of snow in the living room, and I was like, oh my God, I can't do that. I don't get in trouble or anything, but it was just I also just didn't want to go in the house. The doors just did it because they would make you, I was supposed to go into the house, go down into the basement and take a picture of the furnace and the hot water heater and check in with did anybody steal copper pipes, things like that.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And I was I'm not doing that.
Yeah, that's wild.
I'm not doing that. So yeah, so it took a while for me to really get my footing as a real estate agent, and it wasn't until I met, I feel like I can say his name because he was my boss and everybody.
You shifted companies here.
I did. I moved companies. I went to Brummel Properties.
Yeah, I just drove past them to get here.
Yeah, right? Yeah. Friggin' awesome. Anthony Brummel. Everyone loves him. He's fantastic. I love him so much. Yeah. He was actually I think I ran into him. I was leaving a showing as he was getting to the house. And he was like, Amie Langus. And he was probably this bitch. Because I was such an asshole to him in junior high. He was an asshole back to me. But either way, we love each other now. And he was like, you should come work for me. And I was like, I don't like you. And then I think it took me 6 months to a year. And I was like, yeah, I'll join your brokerage. And I don't even remember what year that was. But he sat me down in his office and I was like, listen, I just want to teach yoga and travel. So I'm not going to be your top producer. I'm not going to do anything for your company. And he was like, okay, whatever. You can do whatever you want, Amie. And then 2 or 3 years later, I was winning sales awards and and he's like, oh yeah, you're not going to be a top producer, huh? once I finally committed to it, I ran with it.
Yeah.
And it took a lot. It took that confidence being built. It took traveling. It took, getting out of relationships. For me, I think to finally have the confidence to really go for it. And one of the quotes that has like immensely changed my life is, if you want to take the island, you have to burn the boats.
It's so funny that you said that, because it's been my mantra a lot more recently even, where like every morning I'm like, burn the ships.
Yeah.
Like it's 100%. You have to give yourself no option but success.
Yeah.
And if you want it, you take it. If you want to take the island, burn the ships.
And it's funny because I was still in a restaurant. I was in different restaurants, but I was still in a restaurant. And I want to say it was like 2017 when I first heard that quote.
Yeah.
And it finally, like, God, it just hit me in the gut, man. It just was like, Amie, you have been playing it safe for so long. You have been working in these shitty restaurants and you hate them. Because at that point I was like, this isn't fun anymore. Yeah. I fucking hate this. Right. I'm trying to get sober, or I'm trying to stay sober. And there's just like all this like toxic drinking culture all around me.
Do you feel like not in a dick way, but did you feel like you were getting older also? And they're staying the same age. They're still 21 to 25-year-olds.
Yeah, absolutely.
As you're approaching 30 plus.
Even some of my 30-year-old friends were like the worst alcoholics I'd ever met. And I'm looking at them and I'm like, I can see the alcoholism on you. You look like you're 40, 50 because you're sick.
Right.
And I don't even know how you still have a job.
Yeah.
And I was like, I got to get out of here. So I finally made a plan, and I sat down, and I think I gave myself like 3 or 4 months, which was a super short timeline.
Yeah.
I'm like, I need to make X amount of dollars to feel safe. And then that's it. I'm just going to rip the Band-Aid off. And I did.
Yeah.
And I haven't gone back. Have I gone back? I haven't gone back since. No, 2017, I think, was the last time I worked in a restaurant.
Yeah, that's awesome. Because I feel like you've ripped a lot of Band-Aids. That would have been like the first big one.
Can you tell me which Band-Aid I need to rip now, though? Because I'm at a weird spot in my life right now.
Not for nothing, and I'm sure there's many variables, but there's a good chance that it's content and you are uncomfortable with that.
I'm very.
Because it's always on to the next thing, right? Like.
Well, yeah.
And you've had your back up. When you have the burn the ships mentality, it's because your back's against the wall.
Yeah.
And now that it's like you're sowing the seeds of the success you've planted for the last 10 years, and it feels probably boring, to be honest.
Well, I'm not going to say I'm bored, but yeah, I think it's a feeling of I've done so much, and honestly, before 2020, I was burnt out. Like, I was burnt out, dude. I was not okay.
Well, because we were just at 2017.
Yeah.
Let's fill in these, because there's a few pivotal things that happened there, too.
You're right.
Is because you start killing it at Brummel.
Yeah.
And I know a ton of us got with you to buy
houses.
Yeah,
you did twice. Thank you for that, by the way.
Yeah, you're welcome. Paying your salary.
Damn right. You just paid for my Portillos.
Because I bought and sold my house, and you did my sister's house as well. So, and I know a ton of other people. Yeah. And then eventually you built a sales team.
I did, yeah.
But then at some point you leave Illinois. And you basically still run the team remotely from Colorado.
That was such a weird time.
Such a weird time, but like, how gangster is that? To be like, because you're still getting checks. Yeah. Because the team's still over here killing it, and there's good people on the team. And then eventually from there, I think the burnout happens first.
It did, yes.
Where it was like, all right, because you hadn't even started your yoga studios yet.
No.
Once the burnout hit.
No.
Because the burnout hit hard. I remember talking to you, because we talked a lot. We always stay on the phone.
For hours, yeah.
Every time. Yeah, because we don't talk daily, but then when we talk, it's like, do you have an hour to kill?
Floodgates, let's go.
Yeah, which I do love. But, so what do you think causes the burnout then?
I was not taking care of myself.
Yeah.
But in a different way. Right? Sure. Remember how I was like, you can be a dry alcoholic? Yeah. I was a dry alcoholic. Do you know what I replaced alcohol with? Well, men, that's always been a thing. Sorry to those of you that are listening. I know the error of my ways now. But yes, men and dating and coffee. And so I would just be like...
Coffee?
Adrenal fatigue, dude, all day, every day, just like chugging espressos. And Anthony Brummel does it, so I'm like, this is normal, right?
Yeah.
This
Do
is
you
what...
consider yourself a serial dater also?
At least
absolutely. At that time,
like
back in the day, too.
Absolutely.
Because I feel like there's a time too, like, especially like when we talked about the 20s and stuff before we started the newer journey, where nobody could get too close.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. I mean, yeah, I definitely sought acceptance in men. Yeah. For a very long time. I mean, I can't say that I still don't now.
Is that a self-fulfilling prophecy in the effect that you seek approval in men, which makes sense? We talked already about your dad wasn't there and whatever. Luckily, you did have awesome, positive men in your life.
I did.
That we kind of super glazed over.
We did, yeah.
Maybe we'll circle back to that in a minute. But at the same time, but then when you get that approval, they start trying to get a little closer too.
Oh, and I'm like, ew, that's
and it's
gross.
like, oh,
I don't like it.
Wait,
you need me now? I don't.
Yeah.
No. I
Even
don't
when
like
we first started hanging out way back in the day, after high school, we hit a point too where it was like, all right, you're learning too much about me.
You hung out at my house a lot.
I did. Yeah, I stay on the couch a lot, and I snore very loud.
Which I love. I love the couch. I love hanging out on the couch.
Yeah. Well, we should have switched then. You stay on the couch. Actually, I had to stay on the couch because the AC was right there, and it was always hotter than hell.
So nice.
It was so nice.
So nice.
But go back to the coffee addiction.
Yeah, no. Well, to keep the kind of the pace that I was going, because 2018 and 2019 were when things really started ramping up in my career, and I was.
How nice for you! 2018 was the worst year of my life.
Sorry.
It's alright. It's not your fault.
I'm sorry. I'm not going to say it wasn't going great personally, because I was still making some missteps. But no, things were starting to really ramp up, and so I had to very quickly figure out boundaries and time management and all of these other things that I didn't really understand within my career.
A lot of that stuff you've purposely avoided.
Oh, of course.
And lived a life where you didn't really have to.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so, I would, sometimes stay up until midnight, 2:00 in the morning, working, drinking coffee, eating, whatever. And it was a lot. And so I don't think I was working out. I wasn't really taking great care of myself. I was kind of eating shitty. I think I want to say I was still struggling with sobriety at that time. Actually, I got sober 2018, 2019, 19, 20. Yes, I got sober in 2018. But then it immediately switched over to men and coffee and shopping and
fill the void, right?
Yeah, and I'm I'm seeing clients so often now, so I need to go shopping every week and buy new stuff and so that was going on at the same time. No, you cannot. We don't get to write off nearly what people think we get to write off.
That's a shame.
It really is. Yeah, and you have to have a really good accountant too, and I don't think I do. But so during that time, as I was kind of beginning to burn out, 2019 really was when it really ramped up. I started thinking about the future, and I was like, I don't think I can do this for the rest of my life. It's funny because at my company now we talk about burnout all the time, and how to keep yourself sane. But we didn't talk about that abroad. We didn't talk about that shit. We're just we're hustling. Okay, let's go. And I liked it. Don't get me wrong. At the time, I loved it. But then I was like, okay, I need to come up with a plan for my future. And I still very much loved yoga. I still really liked aerial, in general. I was doing aerial circus classes and stuff. And that was really fun. And that was kind of my outlet, aside from all the other addictions that I had. And so I was like, you know what? A great way to invest all this money that I'm making right now is to put it into this aerial fitness franchise. Yeah. And I had a business partner, one of my friends that I know from the slacklining community. I sent him all the paperwork, and it was so funny. He tore through it in 24 hours, all this legal jargon and shit that's way over my head. And he's like, how do I get involved? And I was like, oh, yes. I was like, I need some more money. And so we started plans to open an aerial fitness studio in downtown Naperville.
Was that the first one?
That was the first one.
Oh, that's right, because you were going to the one in Denver.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I visited the studio in Denver in late 2019. And this is like the part that gives me chills a little bit. I was going to like an owner's conference because I technically was an owner at that time because we had already put in.
Your studio is being built though in Naperville.
Yes, it's kind of in progress. Sure. We had already put in the investment, so I was there for the owner's conference, and it was funny because just like a couple weeks prior to that, I had just met Anthony in Utah. I was not interested at all in him.
I remember when you met him. It was a different circumstance.
Yeah.
That circled back later.
Yeah. I didn't even get his number. I didn't know his last name. We weren't connected on socials, nothing. I had zero interest. But then I went to this owner's conference in the Denver studio, and I sat in the window, and I looked out at, like, the view of the mountains, and I was like, I could totally do this. Like, I could totally run this studio. I could live here, and this would be really beautiful. Spot too.
Yeah. I drove by that when I was there.
Yeah. And 6 months later, less than 6 months later, I was the owner of that studio.
So you're building your one in Naperville.
Yeah.
And whilst building that, you become the new owner of the one in Denver.
Yes, because COVID hit in March and the entire city of Denver shut down.
Sure.
Like everything closed down. I mean, similar to how it did here.
Yeah.
And the owner at the time, God bless her heart, dude. I feel so bad for her. She was like, cool, I literally just took over a couple of months ago and now they're forcing me to shut down. And she had no idea what to do, like what was going to happen. No one did, right? And so she washed her hands of it and she was like, I'm out. This is too much risk for me. I don't blame her at all.
Right.
And then corporate, I was on one of the corporate calls and they were like, oh, by the way, Denver's going to be shutting. And I was like, no. I was like, I'll do it.
Yeah.
Like raise my hand. I'll do it. And I talked to my business partner about it. And I was like, listen, this is kind of what I want to do, but I want your blessing. And I talked to my mom and I was like, I want your blessing. And they both were like, you should fucking go for it.
Yeah.
And
so then you ran 2 studios. Because I got to think that the one in correct me if I'm wrong, the one in Naperville started from nothing.
Yes.
And you had to build the building or tweak the building to that.
Yeah.
And franchise buy-in, whatever that would look like.
Exactly.
But you probably didn't have the same deal with the Denver one since you volunteered to take it over.
Yeah.
Did they waive the franchise fee? Or at least give you a steep discount?
Well, I don't know how much I can chat about the specifics of all of that, but essentially I did like a one-time buy-in.
Yeah.
At whatever their franchise fee is, and they handed me Denver.
Yeah.
They gave it to me.
Yeah.
So.
Which is awesome.
Yeah. But I'm glad they did that because I learned so much by taking over an already existing studio that I think helped with Naperville.
That makes sense.
Not saying that things went great with Naperville, but I knew a little bit more.
Yeah. Well, not for nothing, Naperville is a saturated market in general, right?
Yeah.
Also, you're trying to, I feel like it's a different style that I feel like in Colorado, they look for that, whereas in Naperville, it's a different demographic.
It's so niche, and you're so correct in saying everything that you're saying. There are certain markets that aerial fitness does really, really, really well in.
Yeah. And
there are certain markets that it just flops in, and you have to really do your due diligence and research and figure it out. And I can't even, I'm going to backpedal a little because I can't even say that Naperville flopped necessarily.
Yeah.
I mean, it opened, it took us a long time to get it open. It opened in 2021.
Yeah.
And I just sold both the Naperville and Denver studio, one in July of this year and the next in August. But I don't think I gave Naperville enough time to flourish. And the fact that I wasn't there really fucking bungled the whole thing.
Well, I think that's the other incredible thing is you're still running the sales team in Illinois.
Yes.
You're running the Denver studio. You're running the Naperville studio.
Yes.
So 2 big things in Illinois from Denver.
Yeah.
You did travel a lot back and forth as you could.
In 2020, I was here every 2 weeks, I think.
Yeah, which is expensive.
Plane tickets were so cheap.
Oh, I guess that's true. Yeah, back at that time. Yeah.
I was like, I could do this forever. And then I like started watching the prices creep and I was like, oh shit. Just kidding, guys. I'll be out next month.
So, but realistically, you had them for 2-3 years, and then you just sold them this year.
Yeah.
Which is awesome. Like.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of like trying everything.
I tried, and I think my biggest weakness, I guess if this were a job interview and you're like, what's your biggest weakness? I would say blind optimism.
Yeah.
Where I'm like, there's no way this could go bad. Like, there's no way that I can't be successful at this. Like, I'm like, yeah, I could fucking do that. Yeah, sure, that looks easy. And I thought this whole time that I was going to still have this, like, booming real estate empire, sure. Run the team from afar. We were pretty damn consistent with what we were doing, and we were a well-oiled machine for a while, me and the girls. And then I'm like, oh, I can run these studios too, no problem. Easy peasy. It was not. Each studio on its own was very much a full-time job, right? And I didn't realize that.
That's what I'm thinking. This is another piece of those boundaries of just being like, yeah, just throw it on, I'll do it.
Well, and that was me. I read that book, The Year of Yes or whatever. Yeah. And I was like, yeah, this is a great fucking. I'll just say yes to everything. I can just do everything. And then like the year after, I was like, this is my year of no.
Yeah, those probably usually go together.
Yeah.
But I still think, success is relative, right?
Yeah.
You're gonna look different for every, because I would still consider them both a success. Two successful businesses plus the empire, the real estate empire from Illinois. But that shifted too, because then you were like, because there was still some chatter at the time of like, am I gonna stay here? Am I gonna go back?
That's
here?
Right.
Like,
yeah.
And then I think you kind of nipped that in the bud when you're like, you know what? I'm gonna get my real estate license in Denver or in Colorado.
The problem was, for a while there, I very much had one foot in Colorado and one foot in Illinois, right? Because I still had...
Which is kind of like probably why it went the way it did.
Yeah.
Right? Because you can't 100% you're 50-50ing.
Yeah, the whole time. And I still had the team. I still had the studio. Naperville at first was very much my baby. Because like you said, I built it from a vanilla box. I put every last dollar that I had into it. I put my heart and soul into it. And it wasn't until I met like my now managing broker at 8Z and chatted with her a lot. And she's like, listen, you need to commit to Colorado if you're going to make this work.
Right. And
I was like, what do you mean? What are you talking about? I don't even know what you're talking about. And so, 2022 was a really hard year for me. Yeah. Mentally. It was really hard because she was right. And I was fighting it.
Yeah. But that's when it started changing, where it's like, all right, I still want everything.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to streamline one.
Yeah. I was like treading water. Like, I was totally treading water. I was like, and then my relationship with Anthony was suffering because of it. And like, he was like, you don't want to do stuff anymore. Like, you don't want to climb. And I'm like, because I'm fucking buzzing with anxiety and stress. Yeah. It's very hard to climb and do like scary, challenging things when you are just full of anxiety all the time. Yeah. And so, our relationship was kind of rocky at that time. And, my mental health, dude, was a mess. But because of that, I have learned so many things about how to keep myself regulated, the foods I need to eat, the supplements I need to take, the activities that I need to partake in. And like, I would say 2023 has definitely been the year of like me getting my mental health right. And like, I feel good most of the time. It's kind of crazy,
Does it sometimes still feel foreign where you're like, this, everything just feels right? Yeah. And I don't think it's comfortable. Yeah. Well, and it's also scary sometimes when I'm like, oh, I haven't done the things that I need to do. And then I can feel like if I drink too much coffee or whatever, like I'll feel the anxiety start to creep up. And I'm like, no. Nope. I don't want this. I don't like it. We got to do something to make it go away. Yeah. But now I know how to make it go away. Which is smart. That's good.
Yeah.
Let's circle back and talk about positive male role models when you were younger. You have a tattoo on your arm.
I do.
That's always been funny because we used to hang out all the time.
Yeah.
And it's literally Timmy.
It says Timmy, yeah.
So people would be like, there's tattoo feature your name. Like, no, it doesn't have anything to do with me. That would be weird.
That would be so weird.
Who is Timmy?
He's my uncle. He was my uncle. He passed away when he was like 43, I think. So that's fucking weird to think about.
Yeah, that is crazy. Because that was a long time ago.
Almost that age.
Right. And that happened so long ago.
Yeah. I was 15 when he passed away. He had cancer.
Oh, that's nice.
He lived a pretty crazy life, to be fair. It was like a tattoo artist, biker dude, but like the nicest. He had my name tattooed on his arm. So I wanted to get his name tattooed on my arm.
That's awesome.
And
oh, and so you were 15 when he passed away, you said, so
exactly,
you never got to know how that was awesome.
Yeah.
That sucks.
I mean, I always wanted him to do my first tattoo, but
yeah.
But that wasn't a possibility. But I mean, he was amazing. I mean, he was an artist and a traveler and like a comedian, and he was a Leo, you know, and I'm Sagittarius. So we just vibed in general. But like you know how Leos love so deeply, and he loved me so deeply, and I loved him so deeply.
Is that your mom's brother?
Yeah. Yeah, and they were best friends too.
Because whenever we've talked about him before over our lifetime of friendship, and I love hearing about him because it always feels like a lot of your personality is based on him.
I think so. Very much rebellious and you know, not afraid to be a little bit weird or offbeat or whatever. And yeah, I think that's also part of the reason that I like always go for like the bad boy archetype, you know, like.
Well, because you're presuming it's going to be the guy with the heart of gold, right?
Yes.
This outer layer that's like, oh, he's actually a good dude.
Yes.
Like, I feel, if you look at me, I feel like I project something that I not actually am. And then when you talk to me, you're like, oh, this guy is a sweetheart.
Yeah.
But that's not what reality is out there.
Yeah, exactly. So no, I was very lucky to grow up with him in the household, and you know, he wasn't perfect. Like I said, every single person in my family was an alcoholic, you know, so they're like, I have some like not so great memories too of him, like, you know, breaking promises and things and like, but ultimately, you know, I'll say that last thing about my childhood is that like, I was just so loved as a child. And I think that goes a really, really long way, you know, so. But yeah, Timmy was amazing.
That's pretty good. What we kind of just talked about how, you know, you have there's this idea of contentment kind of floating around, and like you've done so many things.
Fuck, I don't know.
Yeah, so many incredible things. Now we're at the inevitable point where we always come. What do you think is next?
That is a fantastic question that I don't know the answer to, that I'm kind of freaking out about a little bit, because
I mean, it's okay to just one day at a time it and be like, maybe enjoy what you've built.
Well, I mean, it was an interesting summer because Anthony and I got engaged in July.
We didn't talk about that.
We didn't talk. I mean, that would be like a whole other episode.
We brushed across about how you met, but it wasn't for. It was a couple of years, I think. Wasn't it?
It was a few months.
Was it months? Okay.
It was almost a year to the day. Almost a year, just a shot. Yeah, it was 11 months to the day that I met him that we started hanging out again. Yeah. So random. So fucking random. But yeah, so we got engaged in July of this year, and then like almost immediately we went on a 2.5-week road trip. But during that time, so the one studio sold in July 1st. The second studio sold on August 1st while we were actually on this road trip. And I got back and I was like, what now? Now what do I do? I'm like, and for like a week, I just kind of sat on the couch and I was like, shit. I had like one real estate client at the time. They were already under contract. Everything was going pretty smooth. Yeah. So I just kind of was just like, So, I mean, what I'm focused on now is really like, him and I really want to buy a house. We really want to buy a house, you know, but that's a very hard thing to do in the state of Colorado for a lot of people.
I see, well, the listings you post, I know Caitlin's out there now too. The listings she posts, I'm like, Jesus Christ, it's wild out there.
Yeah, it's wild. So we might, you know, we were hoping to buy like early 2024. But, you know, interest rates have gone up a little bit, and that definitely affects affordability. And
sure. But do you think it's one of those things where, like, they're just going to keep going up?
They're either going to stay like this for at least a little bit longer. And then supposedly they're saying that they're going to go down. But it's like, dude, what are any of these predictions really based on?
Yeah.
And like,
I think it's all controlled secretly. Well, not secretly. I think it's all controlled.
No, it's very much controlled. Yeah. I mean, so supposedly unemployment is up, which is a good thing because the government's crazy in how it works. So all of these economic factors are, you know, saying that inflation is coming under control now, which essentially means that, you know, the Fed rate will go down, which then would impact mortgage rates, and that mortgage rates would supposedly go down. But I don't tell people to presume they're going to go down. Well, I tell people to presume that they're going to either stay where they are or go up, because you don't want to, you know, lock in a mortgage rate and be like, oh, I can afford this, you know, for like a year, but then I can't afford it after that. Like,
right, because it's gonna, whatever your first year is like, it's gonna go up, and then follow every year from there on forward.
Well, no, your mortgage rate would be locked in, and it would stay the same.
But your monthly payment is going to go up.
But your monthly payment would go up
taxes and stuff
with the taxes. Thankfully, taxes in Colorado aren't crazy.
Do you think like what we talked about earlier too about the difference in the markets here versus there?
Oh God, yeah.
Do you think that Colorado's a little more untouched by those things because people are flocking there?
Yes.
So the property's holding value regardless because there's a demand for it, right?
The demand in Colorado is a lot stronger than the demand in Illinois.
Yeah, so that's going to kind of keep those values high.
Yeah.
I guess so it doesn't really matter what the rates are doing because the property is valued high.
So last year, the Denver Metro in October, and when I say Denver Metro, I mean city of Denver and the major suburbs all around it.
Sure.
Last October, the median sales price of homes was $600,000.
Yeah.
Or sorry, was $606,000.
Okay.
This October, the median sales price of homes was $600,000. So it's gone down by $6,000.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was curious about versus Illinois because it's such a more in demand area. It's not like it's going to fluctuate here much more.
I think it's going to fluctuate in Illinois much more. And Illinois, like back in 2008 got hit so fucking hard.
Yeah.
One of the reasons being that Kendall County was the fastest growing county in the entire state of Illinois back then.
Is there more programs here also?
What do you mean?
As far as like getting any kind of assistance or kickbacks? Or is there a lot of stuff like that in Colorado?
There's a lot of stuff like that in Colorado
too.
So Illinois has a program called like IDA, and Colorado has a program called CHAFA. But as far as I understand, but yeah, I mean, so there's down payment programs and stuff too in Colorado, and it is kind of funny because you can buy a condo in Denver for under $300,000, but nobody wants to see that because they're like, oh, it's not my dream home.
Yeah.
But there are ways. I mean, you could do exactly what I did when I was, 23, 24 years old.
I would gladly take a condo in Denver if it was $100,000. It would look like this B&B.
I mean, they do exist, but you just have to be willing to, live in certain neighborhoods and deal with very little square footage. And but it's funny because, people... I mean, and I'm the same way. I don't want to live in a condo again. I'm done living in condos. I want a single family home with a garage and a yard and whatever.
How come?
Goddamn right.
Like, what's the appeal?
Well, one, we really want to be able to host people, and we especially want to be able to host people like overnight. Like, we want to be able to have, friends come in from out of town and stay in our guest room and have big like dinner parties.
I mean, you have a guest room right now.
Oh, no.
But if you could.
No.
It's a 2-bedroom place.
It's Anthony's office, plus our gear room, plus my vanity, plus my closet. Dude, that room is so overrun. Like, we're bursting at the seams in that condo right now. And we want a dog.
Don't get a dog. They're so annoying. I just lost the little audience I have.
But no, I really want to focus on my real estate career again in Colorado because I realized how much I missed it and how fun it was for me.
Yeah.
And I have so much support at this brokerage. I mean, they're like the gold star. They're like the diamond standard of brokerages in my mind. Like, they give you so much shit that, like, if you fail under their umbrella, then, like, you just weren't doing the work.
Right. Well,
you know?
They give you all the tools. You just have to use the tools.
It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. It's so many tools that it's almost, like, overwhelming sometimes.
Yeah.
You know, and there's so much accountability. I mean, I have 2 weekly meetings every single week, like, consistently. And then I have another meeting on another team that I'm on, like, bi-weekly. We do a company meeting once a month. I mean, like, you are held accountable. You're not just like a name with a number next to it.
Well, I gotta think, like, not only like there's the accountability piece, but also the camaraderie piece too, right? Where it's like, let's get together, talk about wins, opportunity, right? Like,
exactly,
standard stuff.
Exactly, and we're pretty tight. We're pretty tight knit. It's just hard because I took for granted how easy it was for me to be successful out here.
Yeah.
Because I've lived in Illinois my entire life, and I know fucking everyone and their cousin and their grandmother and their ex. And so the business came to me.
Right.
But now I'm at a place where I have to really try hard again and, like, figure out, like, how am I going to get people to know, like, and trust me, like, when I hardly have, you know, any friends.
That was kind of built in here.
I shouldn't say I hardly have any friends. I actually have an amazing group of friends, and a lot of them have already used my services already. But like, you still have to keep meeting people and keep reaching out. And I've become such a homebody. You know, I don't go out at night. Like, I love staying at home with Anthony and cooking dinner and shit like an old lady and just, like, watching shows, you know?
Maybe the housewife life is for you.
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. I've recently reached out to, like, a couple of different organizations, and there's just amazing group of women called Women Who Dine in Denver. Yeah. And it's like a supper club, dude. It's so silly. But it's women of all ages. I mean, it's women in their 20s all the way up to, like, their late 70s. And we just get together at this gigantic table and eat wherever we want to eat that month. So this year we were going through the alphabet. So I think we were at B last month. So we went to this place called Barolo Grill, met all these incredible women. The woman that runs it, her name, I shouldn't say name, but the woman who runs it is really cool. So I'm meeting with her one-on-one next week to ask her, like, how I can support her. Because it's such an amazing network of women, and I think there's so many opportunities within it for us to, like, do some cool shit, like, change other women's lives. Like, one of my ideas was I want to sponsor someone to come to dinner with us that, like, maybe wouldn't be able to afford it otherwise, right? Because, like, we're going to, like, bougie ass places that are like $100 to $200, you know, for your experience. Yeah.
That's crazy.
And so I want to do that so that they can be part of that network of women.
Is it important for you to feel like you're giving back, or, like, at least contributing in some way?
Always, 100%. So now that's where I'm at, is, like, now that I have the time, I'm back to, like, my year of yes. Like, I want to join committees. I want to volunteer. I want to blah, blah, blah. Like, I want to do all of the things.
Yeah, I love that. I think that that's smart, because it's easy at our age, too, to kind of, you stop making friends, you stop reaching out, and you kind of fall into your own little bubble, which is really easy to do and comforting, and it's nice. Yeah. But it's awesome to still, like, demand more of your stuff and want to give back and keep pushing and pave the way for other people. I think that's amazing.
Yeah. Well, and I think that people glean a lot of satisfaction out of life when they are in service of others. Yeah. And I mean, maybe that's something that I'm taking from yoga. Maybe that's something I'm taking from AA, whatever it is. But I fully
Wherever
believe
there's a successful program, that's the philosophy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, it's not something that, like, it sounds silly to talk about, and, like, we might joke about it, but anything out there that's been successful has that philosophy. Like, there's something to it.
It's always gratitude and selfless service. And those two things are two things that, like, I want to just grab onto and just, like, hold close to my heart. Because, like, every morning I start my morning with a gratitude practice now. Yeah. Every fucking day. I'm like, shit might be hard today, but bitch, you have a roof over your head.
Right.
You have a husband who cooks for you, like, almost every single night. Yeah. Husband is
It was the first time I heard you say it. It's different.
I told him I'm going to call him my bubs bin because he's like, please don't.
But you're right. Those things are important. Like, and because I try to find I'm always impressed by finding the little things daily that like feel like they're just for you.
Yeah.
Like, I can sit here and be like, oh, I hate going to work and coming home because when I drive to work, the sun's in my eyes. When I go home, the sun's in my eyes. But I literally get to watch the sunrise every morning.
Hell yeah.
And I get to watch the sunset every night now that the time's changed.
Hell yeah.
Like, how awesome is that? So it's just perspective. Like, do you have a good experience? Do you have a bad experience?
You just need some sunglasses, man. That's...
Yeah, and I have a giant head. So, like, when I put them on...
Now that you say that...
Oh, did you just notice? It's been 30 years, and you're
Wide.
Like, holy shit, there's...
A lot wider.
Yeah, okay, now we're even, bitch.
Oh, my God.
All right, I don't even want to talk to you anymore. I'm going to take my...
What a great way to end!
I'm going to take my giant head and go get some food finally that you finally showed up.
Dude, your blood sugar's got to be in the shithole right now.
Well, trying to get times, and you guys are doing weird stuff, and then you come in with Portillo's, and I'm like a little hobo that's begging for scraps.
Anthony did say that we should ask you, and I was like, he's fine.
All right. God, I hate you so
Love
much.
you.
Yeah. All right, we're ending this. I love you, friend.